Hello everyone, welcome to the Branquinho show.
And then at Livermore, when you did say hi to me, you had a hot dog in your shirt pocket.
It wasn't Livermore, that was
Oh, sorry, well, it was. You said
See,
hi.
she doesn't even know her own story.
I was telling my boy, you can spend your whole life trying to be the world's best Indian. Or you could quit being afraid of white guys.
Hey, hit that subscribe button now. You're going to like it. Welcome to the Branquinho show. Today's guest is the fire that keeps me rolling. Miss Lindsay Branquinho, the mother of my children, the love of my life, the chef in my kitchen. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
We are going to discuss, because a lot of people want to know about how we met. My side of the story and her side of the story are completely different, and my side is right because I was there and I've seen it. So I'm going to give you my version first. I was in Red Bluff, as she was too, at the rodeo. She was competing in the barrel racing, and I was in the steer wrestling. And I seen this good-looking lady walk by, and I was like, "Hey, girl, hey, girl, hey." And like, she was 10 feet from me, and nothing, just over her face, kept walking. I'm like, well, there went the love of my life. I guess I'll never see her again. But anyway, she says it happens different.
First of all, your story changes every single time you reenact it. When we were actually in Red Bluff last time, and I told you to show me exactly where we were, you were not 10 feet away. You were like 20 yards away. And you were like, I was also hiding behind a truck and just playing on you with binoculars.
So her story changes as well. I'm going to go with 15 feet and not behind a truck with binoculars.
Real,
that was after she ignored me.
And the real story is that we were at Livermore, not Red Bluff.
Livermore's after Red Bluff.
I know, several months later. Because how am I going to miss a guy like him? He's not like...
What's that supposed to be?
I mean, you're substantial. It's hard to miss you. I was also, may have been blinded because I was in a cap roper phase at the time too. So maybe you just entered the wrong event. And then at Livermore, when you did say hi to me, you had a hot dog in your shirt pocket.
It wasn't Livermore, that was
Oh,
Turlock.
sorry, well, it was. You said
See,
hi.
she doesn't even know her own story.
Got confused me. You said hi to me that morning, and then I thought, oh my gosh, she's so cute. We said hello, and then it was rodeo fate because we just happened to be up again the same rodeo that same night, and then that's when you had the hot dog in your pocket.
You looked hungry. She looked hungry. So, and no mustard, no cat, just
It had
plain.
mustard on it. You don't remember anything.
You said that it was at Livermore. Anyway, the point of the story is my side of the story is right. She ignored me the first time, said hi to me the second time, and then I gave her a hot dog, and it was love at first sight after the hot dog. Did you fall in love with the hot dog?
No.
She does like hot dogs. Anyway, that was pretty much how we met, and then from that point on, we sat in the trailer. Actually, at Turlock, after the hot dog incident, we sat in the trailer before Slack for a couple hours. I didn't try to make a move. Not one time.
He didn't. It was so cute. And then he wrote my phone number on the back of his checkbook because it was so long ago. That's when people still use things like checks to pay entry fees. And then he ignored me for several months after that. I guess he was just getting me back from that time that he imagined. I didn't say hi to him at Red Bluff.
I had to cut ties with all the other ones. And then one thing that really sticks out in my mind, we didn't get to spend a lot of Valentines days together. How many of those were we together?
4 maybe?
Those 4 that we were together, one was in Jackson, Mississippi. She flew in from somewhere, I don't remember, but she was whooped down, tired. And I had a really nice hotel room. I think it was right across from the Shoney's in Jackson, Mississippi. It was between the Shoney's and the Waffle House.
Yeah.
And it was a real classy joint. But I had a nice. It was the suite of that hotel, and had a Valentine's Day and evening. And anyway, she gets in and like no sooner as her head hit the pillow, and she's snoring. And she says she doesn't snore. She was snoring that night. Fate happens to have it that the couple next door was having a really fun Valentine's night I think Jamie and Roger were their names through the walls, all I could hear. But they were having a great night, and that was, I think, our first Valentine's night together.
You slipped right through it. It was
Yeah,
great.
it was.
But
it was
did you ever know why I was so tired?
You never told me.
Okay. So the reason I was so tired is because me and the girl I'd been traveling with were staying in, you got us, you had called the Steiners and asked if I could stay there because they had a few days between rodeos. So they're like in Bastrop, so in Texas, outside of Austin. And I did have to go to Jackson after that, but not until a couple days after he had to be there. And then he called us, or he called me and said that he told me he was on his way to Jackson. He was up the next day, and I realized I was gonna miss him. I'd be showing up right after he left. So we loaded horses up in the trailer within a half an hour, and we drove all night from Texas to Mississippi. We didn't stop so that I could be there at the same time as him. And so by the time that I actually saw him, I'd been up for probably, 36 hours straight, just so I could be in the same town as him, because that's dating when you're
And
rodeoing.
fall asleep in the same bed.
At least I got to sleep next to him.
That's true. I can remember getting her a set of pots. Blaine Jones and I were in San Antonio, which Blaine is now coincidentally my brother-in-law, married to her sister Holly. And I was like, holy shit, it is almost Valentine's Day and I haven't got her anything. So we go to, I don't know if it was a Williams-Sonoma or
Or Walmart.
It might have been a Walmart. But I ordered her some really fancy pots that had the Teflon. So nothing stuck to it when you cooked. That was one of the best gifts I can remember giving you on Valentine's Day.
Maybe on Valentine's Day. It doesn't beat the Christmas that you gave me, the laser level and a hammer, though.
Oh, excuse me. 1 second. This little thing here, we still use, and this is it.
It is a great...
Probably not the same hammer, but we still use it.
Here's the thing. It's a great thing to have on hand. It does not make it a great Christmas gift.
Do you use it?
It's still not a great Christmas gift.
We'll let the viewers decide that. If it's usable, it's a great gift. Okay, what are some of your great Valentine's gifts to me you remember?
I don't think I can say most of them on...
No, that's what I couldn't do. That's why I only had the pots.
I'm just giving you my love. Here's my favorite gifts that I ever get from Luke, is he writes the best cards, which is really funny because I can't remember the very first Valentine's Day that we were together, and he gave me these cards, and it was so cute because it was like he had gone to the store and bought the cards, but then he just, you know how when you buy a card you kind of flip it under, or you just slide it under the envelope flap, like he gave them to me like that. They weren't even in the envelopes, and he didn't even write his name in them, but there was more than one, which was funny. But since then, he is notorious for writing the best cards that like come with flowers and things. But my favorite part is that because hasn't been around when the flowers are delivered, because he's always out of town, he will like dictate them to the florist, who then has to write these things which are sometimes personal and slightly questionable, and she always writes them. She's the most amazing. So I get these like incredible cards that are sometimes rhyme, sometimes they're very, very loving, and they're always written in this beautiful lady's handwriting.
Renee has beautiful handwriting.
She does.
Beautiful flowers.
There was just one the other day about the house smelling like farts when I'm gone. I mean, this is sweet stuff. You should...
It's truth.
Yeah.
Truth comes from the heart, and it's mint.
This show doesn't work out. You should work from homework.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what other card I really loved too was the time that you had your mom bring me the gift. And so this is the best. I absolutely adore his mom. She's so funny. And she's very just like practical. So she wrote out the card from him, and it was like,
Sweet.
I love you so much. But then she has a stamp that she uses to endorse his checks. So it's like an ink stamp, and she ink stamped his signature on it. So it was signed by Luke Branquinho.
It's classy shit right there.
This is true, won me over because that night in Turlock that we sat in his trailer and just talked, and I'm such like a nervous Nelly all the time and kind of shy. And we sat there and I felt like I was talking to my best friend. I was so comfortable, and he made me feel so at ease, and it made me laugh just a whole bunch. Like, he shook my hand when we parted ways that night, and I just remember thinking how nice it was. Like, he never one time told me I was pretty. He didn't try to make a move, nothing. And I just thought, that's the kind of guy I marry. And then I drove to Flagstaff. I drove from California to Flagstaff, and I saw my younger sister that next day. And I said, last night I met the guy I'm gonna marry.
You should have seen what was happening in my head.
That's the perfect combo, right? You're thinking it but not saying it.
Right.
And now he does the opposite.
And I also made her first peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
He did. I'd never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before.
What a weirdo.
I don't know. The idea of jelly really weirded me out.
But now it's good.
There's so many strange things about me. I think you just accept
We're
me.
going to have a whole show on that.
On what? On strange things about me. Luke Branquinho, can you tell us what you're wearing tonight?
I got a pair of boots from Marriott. These Recons are awesome. And how about that jacket? It's sure looking fancy on you.
Thanks. I got it for that date night you're going to take me on.
Valentines night?
Yeah. So my jacket and my cute little top are both Boot Barn, who you know that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both Idlewind. It's a little leather business here.
Fringy.
And I got my little lacy cute top. It'd be great with some jeans or a skirt, something sassy. I got these lovely Idlewind boots, super comfy. Love all my Idlewind boots. They don't even take any breaking in.
I got my Modern Fit cinch shirt, which first time I've ever wore one and felt comfortable in it. This stuff, courtesy of Boot Barn. We love it.
It's got secret pockets for hiding gits for me for Valentine's Day.
Yes, for hiding gifts, all right. Yes. Keeps you warm on these cold Texas nights.
I thought I did that.
You do. As the largest Western and workwear retailer in the nation, Boot Barn offers the largest selection of boots and clothing for any and all occasions, from ranch work to rodeo events and nights out. Boot Barn is a heritage brand that supports local communities through veteran support programs, rodeo and local event sponsorships, local artist collaborations, and more. My next guest is my favorite Indian, Dougie Hall. Doug, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me, Luke. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you bet. And, I started following you on Instagram and hey, look here. Wait a second. I got Dolly Parton on it, though.
Oh, yeah. I love Dolly.
But I started following you on Instagram, and you really drew me to you with your positivity, but you're no backing down. You say how it is. And one thing I always love, how do you say it? If you use it, great. If you don't, tell me that line real quick.
I say it's your favorite Indian, Dougie Hall. If you like what I say today, please use it. If you don't like it, then don't worry about it.
And that's exactly right. What you say, if you can use it, great. And if you don't worry about it. But so many people get wrapped up in what you say and how it might affect them. Well, if it doesn't affect them, keep your mouth shut. Don't say nothing. And that's what I like about you. You're straightforward, tell it as it is. And gosh, some of the things you come up with are absolutely amazing. And I think that's what draws a lot of people to you. I mean, when you started this, what was your intention and goal?
I was going through a pretty rough time in my life. A lot of things was just falling apart. And my dad always told me you got to get back to your basics. And what's the basics for every human? It's like water, food, shelter. And he told me, well, you got to get to your basics, what makes you you. And for me, it's always been horses. That's why Uncle Mouse let me use the name Matsuno Komitawaki Ma, means crazy after horses. He said, because if there's anybody that's crazy after horses, it's you. I thought, well, shoot, I got to get back to horses. Got to get back to bucking horses. So that's what I did. I was scrolling through Facebook and I found videos for George Veeder over in California.
Yeah.
Here's this guy that's like about 60 years old. He looks like he's in his 30s and he's riding broncs, damn good, right along with the young guns. And I see like Lefty Holman, Dawson Hay, like all these NFL guys there. He's got high school kids there practicing and everybody's smiling. They're positive. They're happy. They're having a good time. They're encouraging one another, not trying to be better than one another. They're helping each other get to
elevate each other.
Yeah, they're elevating each other. And I thought, well, I need some of that. So I got a hold of George and he said, can you come down here? And I said, yeah, I'll leave like now. So I got in my car. I drove down there and got to hanging around those guys. And shoot, I hadn't been on a bronc in like 2 years, but just from being around those guys, I I mean, you could tell I was a little bit rusty, but shoot, I rode pretty decent for not riding for 2 years. Just from being around everybody that was
Right.
elevating each other. You know, it was good environment, and I met Mang Lee there with Makeline Productions and Real Time Magic. He was George's media guy at the time, and he told me, he said, I was visiting with your boy Chase Brooks, and Chase is actually in the Indian way. He's my cousin. His dad was adopted in the Indian way by my Uncle Mouse and my Aunt Joy, so they kind of had a hand in raising him. So anyway, so Chase is my cousin. He said, I was talking to your cousin Chase Brooks in L'Oreal Harbor from Bronc Red Nation, and we all agree that you got a gift and you don't use it. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when you talk, people listen. You got a story to tell, and you don't use it. And I said, well, how do I use it? He said, just start videoing yourself and talking and put it on social media. I said, well, what do I say? He said, say what's on your mind and your heart.
Well, and like I said, when I started watching your posts and seeing how many likes and everybody that was following you, you obviously have impacted a lot of people, not only the Native American people, but outside of that, which is huge. And for me, I appreciate it because I was at a point in my career or my life where I didn't know where I was supposed to head. I was in contemplating retirement, did retire, and just to hear you talk, and they're right. When you talk, people listen, and I think that's an awesome gift to have. And the way you're sharing it with the world through social media, and then also I know you're doing some motivational talks too. How have those been going?
What the hell? I was listening to a TED talk one time of this guy. He was a recovering addict, and he went into business for himself, and he handled his business like how he handled his recovery. What the heck did he say? He said, you do uncomfortable work. Or you be rigorously authentic. Be yourself. Don't worry about what people think. Be rigorously authentic. Do uncomfortable work and surrender the outcome. So after I heard that, it just really hit home with me, and I just started trying to live my life and do my talks by those 3 rules. And when I quit caring what people thought about me, then them talks would go really good. People would always laugh too. I mean, then they start labeling me as a comedian because I don't know. Apparently,
well, people listen to you and you're funny.
Yeah, just from doing what did we say? Being rigorously authentic, doing uncomfortable work, and surrendering the outcome.
Well, and I know how hard that could be because I've done some motivational talks with diabetics, in groups, and also some bigger talks. And it's almost like the saying, when you're a kid, they said, rehearse in front of a mirror, or talk to, speak like people are out there naked. So you forget about all the embarrassing stuff that you might say or do, and just speak like you're talking to yourself or talking to a crowd of naked people. So I did use that, and it helped me a lot. But I like what you said too. Just go out there and be yourself. Don't worry about what anybody thinks of you, because they paid you or they hired you to be there, so they want to hear what you have to say. So it's awesome that you're going out and doing that and helping motivate other people. And the thing is, you never know at any time or stage of somebody's life what you say may affect, or it affects them in a positive way. They might have spiraled downward, but those words you said might have lifted them out of the trenches, per se, and helped them out so much. And even with me, you don't realize that that's happening until people come and say, hey, you said this 2 months ago and it helped me get out of a ditch. What about your rodeo career? You started when you were young, obviously family rodeoed.
When I was a kid, my uncle, he was a bronc rider, and he was a great one, probably one of the best to ever come from this tribe. But they Indian relayed a lot. And have you seen the Indian relays?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like my dad and uncle, that's what I grew up doing, is they had an Indian relay team, and we traveled to every fair in Montana and Idaho and northern Wyoming. Every weekend was a fair in the summertime.
Right.
And my dad and uncle, when they would they were constantly like exercising the horses and breezing them and stuff. And it's hard to keep track of a little kid when you're trying to exercise, you know what I mean? Exercise them horses. So if they do, they just throw an old campaigner in a corral for me and just leave me there. And he was my babysitter. So that's what I grew up doing, was I learned how to be a good Indian. I didn't know how to be a cowboy, but I was a good Indian. You could stick me on a horse and I could stay there, but I didn't know nothing about cows or any of that till I got like into high school and stuff. And yeah, I started riding broncs when I was like 16. I wasn't very talented at it. I had to work at it. I'm still working at it, and I'm about 30 now. I've just now finally started to come around and have, you know, little bits of success here and there. It's taken me a long time, but shoot, I think when Creator made me, he forgot to add the quit, so.
Well, when he made you, he also made you the size of a bulldogger too, so a little bit tougher in the bronc riding, right? Being that size.
Yeah, I joke around. It probably pisses some of my little buddies off, but you know, all them bronc riders, they're about that tall, and so you go behind the chutes, it looks like the Western version of the Lord of the Rings, like I'm the Indian Gandalf, surrounded by a bunch of muscly hobbits.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth. There was something you posted about, and it makes complete sense. You were talking about the Indian rodeo and how each tribe has their own rodeo, but don't want to be segregated and all of that. And I mean, there's so much truth to that. You know, you have your PRCA, you have your Bill Pickett Association, you have your Hispanic Association, your Indian Association, and it's almost like we segregate ourselves. One thing I love what you said is, what tribe was it? He said, why don't you guys have your own? You said, we do, the short round.
Yeah, I won't say his name. But
Will it upset him?
Oh yeah, yeah, it probably pissed him off a little. But there was a Crow guy, because first they had the Indian rodeo, and after the Indian rodeo, the all Indian rodeo, they had all Crow rodeo, and then it was no big secret what was going on. Shoot, they had all the fancy prizes in the all Crow rodeo. They had the horse trailer, the saddle.
Nothing for the all Indian rodeo, but the all Crow rodeo had all the prizes.
Yeah, the all Crow rodeo had all the good prizes. And this crow walked up to one of my Blackfoot buddies and said, "Hey, how come you guys don't have an all Blackfoot rodeo?" And he was a smart ass. He said, "We do. It's called the short round."
Oh, I laughed so. I think I was in the car or Lindsay was driving. I don't know. Anyway, I laughed so hard. She said, "What's so funny?" I said, "This was spot on. That was great." How many rodeos and tribes do they have that separate and have their own?
I have no idea. I know the Crows did it, and then the Blackfeet did it. They tried to do it. I mean, I didn't really understand it, and I'm gonna make a lot of people mad, but that's okay. They probably don't like me anyway.
It's good you're good at it. Express your opinion and let people know what you're thinking.
When I was a kid, you know, I started out rodeoing. You know, my family rodeoed, and there was this romance of being a cowboy, bronc rider guy and stuff, and doing these all Indian rodeos and whatnot. And I got into it, and I started, rodeoing and, starting to ride broncs. And after a while, I realized that the most prejudice I've ever faced was from my own people. They treated me good when I started out riding bucking horses, but once I started to kind of make moves in that area, like started to improve and get better, a lot of them really treated me like shit. They didn't treat me as good. It's like that, what is that, crabs in a bucket mentality. Like they want you to do good, but not better than them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're not about elevating each other. It's all, I don't know, it's all about me, or this or that. Or don't get me wrong, there's a lot of positive things to it. There's a lot of great people in Indian rodeo that have influenced my life and my career and a lot of the things that I do. I don't know, I faced a lot of prejudice and jealousy in it. And especially once I started getting close to my Uncle Mouse. My Uncle Mouse, he's raised bucking horses his whole life. He's known throughout the whole pro rodeo community. I can't go anywhere in this country in the PRCA rodeo world and people hear my name and they not ask me about Mouse Hall.
Right.
He's raised, if I'd run out of fingers and toes trying to count how many horses that man's raised that went to the national finals. Anyway, I got close to him and I started falling in love with the breeding of the bucking horses too. That became a passion of mine, and I really faced a lot of jealousy around in my community for that. And it was really hard on me because a lot of it came from people that, were my heroes at one time.
Right.
A lot of close family members and stuff. and it broke my heart.
Well, and understandably so, because there are people that you know, like you said, family members you loved and figure you could do anything and they'd be happy for you.
I broke down and I was talking to Mouse about it because I was frustrated. I was trying to ride the Indian rodeos, ride the pro rodeos, and then these Indians didn't want me to buck my horses, you know, and saying and doing not nice things to me to keep me from doing anything with those horses. And I was really discouraged, and I told Mouse about it. Mouse told me, my boy, you can spend your whole life trying to be the world's best Indian, or you could quit being afraid of white guys.
Oh, the wisdom of the older generation is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, like, after I took that to heart, I took it probably a lot further than he thought I was gonna. So I just flat quit going to the Indian rodeos and stuff, and I started just riding pro rodeos and taking my horses to where to play with them in places where it was with the pros. You know, little Dougie Hall knocking heads with the, you know, the guys with $1 million in their bank account. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was a lot of fun. I grew a lot and I learned a lot from it, and I've kind of started gaining somewhat of a reputation in the pro rodeo community. And he also told me, Mouse, he said, you're only as good as the company you keep. He said, so if you hang out with 5 meatheads, you're gonna be the 6th. He said, but if you go and hang out with them pros and those champions, he said, you know, something will rub off on you. That's what I decided to do, and that's what I continue to do. And anybody that asks me for advice, I tell them the same thing.
Well, and that's the best advice you can give anybody, you know. In no matter what sport or what walk of life, you hang out with, you know, meatheads, you're going to be a meathead. You hang out with champions or people that want to get better, you're just going to rise up to their level.
A lot of the Indians, they don't like me for that, but they damn sure respect me. And I'd rather be not liked for who I truly am than go through life kissing people's ass, you know, in hopes I can get a little bit of grain here and there.
No, I agree 100%. How many horses do you have now that are going down the road?
I got around 30 some head, but right now I have 3 that are like ready for a fraternity team. So I'm going to take a team to Miles City, fraternity team. So I'll have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and then I think it's like a 3-year-old to buck with a dummy.
Mm-hmm.
At the fraternity, they're in the bucking horse sale in Miles City. Mouse will do the same thing. I'll take his horses down there and we'll play with them. Other than that, I have like 8 or 9 mares that I'm breeding. And I think I got the stud mixes figured out. Like, you know, after I bought them horses from Mouse, and she'd had one old guy tell me, you know, how come you got 2 studs? You only have like 9 mares. You don't need that many studs. But, you know, it's like playing Keno, you know what I mean? It's some mixes work and some mixes don't, kind of a thing.
The thing is, there is a recipe for success as far as breeding livestock to get the best you can. I mean, in the bucking horses and the bucking bulls, and you see it especially with the PBR, how those bull breeders have enhanced the bucking bulls, just as you're trying to do with the bucking horses.
About every year we got like I think it's like, well, now 9 colts, and then we raise them up and to where they're about, say, like around 2 years old, and we'll try them with a dummy just to kind of see what's on their mind and make sure they can keep their feet and kind of you know, build their confidence, you know what I mean? Because that dummy's got a quick release on it. At the right time, we'll hit that release and let them buck that dummy off, so they kind of feel, you know, kind of proud of themselves a little, strut around.
That confidence.
Yeah, I got to build that confidence. I want to crack their egg.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what do you got planned, you know, for this year? Obviously, take your horses to the rodeos, and then you yourself entering up, or you just staying in Montana circuit, or are you going to try to go a little bit harder?
I'm going to go a little bit harder. So I designated for the last, this will be my 3rd year, Columbia River. Because like right where I live, you know, in north central, kind of northwest Montana. So it's pretty much just as far for me to go to Columbia River as it is anywhere in Montana, because Montana's such a big state.
Yeah. You're in Browning, right?
Yeah, in Browning, yeah.
Yeah. So I hunted up at Swift Dam with Sean Little. I don't know if you know Sean, outfitter out there. We went over to Swift Dam and then hunted the what do you call the Great Bear, I guess. So yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time up there, and it gets pretty damn cold.
Yeah, it gets pretty chilly up here. I think it was like, what the heck was it? It was a few weeks ago. It was like -40 with a -60 wind chill.
That'll make the boogers in your nose freeze.
Yeah.
What about your wife?
Yesterday, we just got her moved down here from British Columbia.
I imagine it's great to have her there with you. I want to talk more about your motivational, little short clips you put on Instagram. Do those just come to you? You write them down, or you just turn the camera? And I know you said, you talked with them and they said just put the camera up and shoot it. I mean, is this stuff that is always running through your mind? Like, man, I got to say this, I got to do this. Or I'm curious because usually when I think of something, I'm driving, then I totally forget about it, and it never comes up again.
It's usually something like Mang told me. He said you gotta whenever you feel it, stop what you're doing and just hit record. So that's what I do. It's usually something that I need to hear too, a lot of times. Then when I say it, like, I feel better, and it seems like any time that I say it, like when I feel something like that, like it just spreads like wildfire. Like apparently a lot of other people needed to hear it too. So whenever I feel something, I just hit the record button, and yeah, it's been working out so far.
Well, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you lost your mom in a tragic drunk driving accident, and I know that you really promote not drinking and driving and not all that stuff, and that hits home because there's so many family members that have been lost in such tragic incidents, and then to have a guy like you speak out about it is huge, and it means a lot to I'm sure all the families that have lost somebody in an accident like that. But hopefully drive it home that, hey, life's too short, let's take advantage of it. Don't do anything crazy, or don't do things stupid.
I don't know, when I was 14 years old, I literally, I watched my life flash in front of my eyes, and there's no other way to say it. My mom died in front of me. I don't know, I've just never seen anything good come from drinking, and I understand now as an adult that I can't control people, places, or things, and people are always going to do what they're going to do. There's no way you can control that. What helped me was somebody told me their story, and I found a piece of myself in that person. And by somebody being open, and when you talk like that, you got to bleed a little bit every time. With that person being willing to bleed a little bit, share their story with me, it gave me a survival guide to keep living, one day at a time. And so I figured, well, shoot, if that person can do that for me, maybe I could do that for somebody else. You know what I mean?
Well, you're damn sure doing it for not just one person, but several. And I mean, you can see, obviously people comment on your posts or like some of your social media, and I'm gonna push you as much as I can, because what you've done just for changing my life and what you say and how you go about your life has been very inspirational. So again, for me, I appreciate that. Man, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. Best of luck to you. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing, your career, your bucking horses, your bronc riding, your show, everything, your motivational talks, where they go for you.
Shoot, I appreciate you, Luke, man. I think it's such a cool thing to be on here with you, because when I was I'm not trying to point your age out or nothing, but when I was a little guy, he's always my favorite bulldogger, ever since I was like that big, man. It's almost like you see the same guy go out and do the same thing, whether it's riding a bucking horse or bulldogging a steer, you know what I mean? They're all clean-cut cowboy doing the same thing. It's like you watch the same guy over and over, but it was always different with you, because you always had fun with it. You'd throw one down, you'd kind of shake and smile it out. Everybody, it's good medicine, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny, when we were in Vegas and I seen you at, was it Losers Lounge, when Jenna Paulette and Ian Music and them were playing, and I hadn't met you in person yet. I walk up and they're like, "Oh, there's Doug." I'm like, "Yeah, that's good." And then you walk up, I'm like, "God, that's Doug up here." I mean, you are a ox of a man. What are you, 6'2", 6'3"?
6'3". I think I just got done growing last year.
Well, you should be a steer wrestler too, and I know that there is the crossover. I believe it was he was from Rod Warren from Canada. I watched him ride broncs and then go bulldog a steer. So anyhow, but no, I appreciate you coming on, and best of luck to you in the future.
I appreciate you, Luke. Thanks for having me on, and I really appreciate your friendship, man.
Yeah, you bet. And everybody go out and check out Dougie Hall on Instagram, and I promise you're going to love what he has to say.
Thank you, Luke.
I just think I want you to know that I think it's Smoke Show that you're trying to reference.
I know what the reference is. I like Smoke Wagon better because you could haul that ass.
What?